Let's move on to Colorado Springs, as the shooting suspect, Anderson Lee Aldrich, is facing 305 criminal charges. Wow.
Yeah, this is something that a lot of people weren't sure was going to happen. The terrorist who went into Club Q and killed five individuals and injured at least, or caused the space to create injury to 25 others, was charged with 5 counts of first-degree murder and multiple hate crime charges. And it was sort of back and forth on whether or not there would be any hate crime charges brought against this individual, because it wasn't clear what the motive was. So at this time, he is looking at not only just the murder crimes, also looking at having that extenuated by having them designated as hate crimes. Now, interesting side note to this is that the attorneys for the terrorist most recently have actually been misgendering their client in the trial. They had filed a brief prior to going into before the judge for the first time, recognizing that their client was non-binary and used non-binary pronouns, they, them, as well as the honorific of mix. So the attorneys pretty much set the standard of saying that our client is non-binary and we're going to observe that. Yet this last week, as attorneys were making arguments and, speaking about their client, they misgendered their client by referring to their client as he, him. And there was no correction. When the judge also misgendered the client as he, him, there was no objection, nor was there any correction. This has led some to believe that the attorneys wanted to enter into the record that their client was non-binary in hopes of avoiding the hate crime charges. Because if they could make it seem that their client was one of the LGBTQ plus community, then hate crime charges would be invalidated. But instead, the prosecutors have come forward and they've said, no, this crime is severe enough that hate crime designations are justified. So some are saying that the attorneys have dropped the they, them pronouns because it was essentially a ploy that was not recognized. Now, there has not been any formal filing to, identify their client any other way, but at the same time, if you're going to represent your client with a filing that you brought on behalf of that client, it probably speaks very poorly of your representation. Now, let me also say that at this point, someone could make a very, very sketchy argument for a mistrial. That if something were to happen, to call for a mistrial because the client was not being gendered appropriately.